There we go. Well, ladies, welcome to our coaching clinic today. We have a special guest back with us, Jennifer Chapman, who is also a VIP priority sponsor. Thank you for sponsoring us this year. We're greatly appreciative of that. And I just have to say, I pulled up Jennifer's website, and I remember the first time she spoke at VIP week here at the VIP Center, and immediately I just connected with her. I just loved her story and her level of authenticity. And I'm so glad that she is a part of our community. She's just full of richness and wisdom at such a young age, what I would consider a young age, because I'm in the middle 50s club, and I look at young whippersnappers like Jennifer Chapman, and I'm just happy. I'm just happy that you are on a mission, and it's a meaningful mission, and you're really touching the hearts of many people. So this is Jen's website, and her business, Just Commit Coaching. And I just wanted to share her website with you because she has, it really sets the stage for the kind of coaching that she does. And I would encourage you to go and check her out. And Jen, you're also welcome to put your web address in chat so that they can go and check it out a little bit later. I know that you have some upcoming things coming. When is your next event, Jen?
My next small women's group cohort starts September 5th. So the Tuesday after Labor Day.
Okay. All right. Oh, here it is, right on the big red.
Okay. I was going to say, and I think she just added that yesterday, so it's perfect timing.
Yeah. So September 5th. So you've got a cohort starting.
Yeah. There's my website in the chat. And if you're even curious and want to learn more about that, you can just schedule a call with me and we can talk about it.
Yep.
Perfect.
Sounds like a plan. All right. Well, I'm going to turn it over to you now, Jennifer. So take it away and coach us up.
Well, thanks for the opportunity. It's so good to see you ladies today. And Angie, let me know in the chat, like if there's questions as I go through this. I'm not going to share my screen today, but I kind of have it on the side just so I make sure I hit all the points that I'd like to hit today. But what I wanted to share with you all today is something that I learned as I was going through my coaching certification in 2021. Every time, so there was 200 humans all over the world going through this coaching certification. So it was such a powerful community, and our coach is such next level with her teachings and trainings. And one thing that I learned from her is every time she would split us off into pairs or trios for a brainstorming session, she would call it Heartstorming session. And I loved that. I was so fascinated by it and wanted to learn more. And there's actually, it's backed by science and data. And there's actually a place called the Heart Institute, and the Heart Math Solution is the book with what it actually means. And so that's what I wanted to share with you all today, because I believe as women, we do that more than we think that we do with regards when we are in brainstorming sessions. We're using and listening to our hearts and our intuitions, which is what this is. So I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about what the current model looks like, which you're probably all familiar with. I'm going to provide you a couple of methods and tools to try on as you move forward and taking action. So I believe I've met all of you that are on here. If not, again, Jennifer Chapman. So I'm a certified life and mindset coach and speaker. I co-authored an international bestseller in 2021. Just a chapter sharing my story in that, which was a really cool experience. And I'm going to put out into the universe that I will write my own book sooner or later, one of these days. I'm a stroke survivor, and I'm a wife and proud dog mom. And if I were to share my screen, I do have a picture of my dog, and it is the only purpose that I even share that this slide in any of my presentations is to share my beautiful, gorgeous Serena Chapman. So that's a little bit about me. And so I wanted to lead the session with a question for you. And the question is, when you were a child, what did you want as a birthday gift or a Christmas gift? When you were like 7, 8 years old, what was that? And and Angie, I'm open to this being interactive and engaging. So versus sharing in the chat, if somebody wants to come off mute and share, if something came up for you immediately, what that was. Or if you just want to share in the chat.
I'm sure at some point I wanted a bike.
Okay. I like it. I'm sure some of us can relate. I remember getting my first bike for Christmas when I was around that age, and I was ecstatic. I screamed, I was lit up, right? It was hiding in another room and I found it. And you would have thought it was much more than a bike, but at 7 or 8 years old, it was everything. It was everything. How about anybody else? Is there anything that comes up for you when I ask you that?
So for me, it's a Barbie townhouse with the elevator.
Yes.
Yes.
Did you get it?
Yes, I did.
How did you feel?
Oh my gosh. It was the possibilities of Barbie interaction and Barbie politics was just dancing in my head about how they could go to the rooms.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Barbie
Yes.
politics.
Yeah, Barbie politics.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which timely that movie just was launched last weekend. That's funny.
Well, my daughter went to see it, and yesterday she was here at the building with me, and she was just watching little excerpts of it where everybody called, "Hey Ken, hey Ken, hey Barbie, hey Barbie." You know, they just kept saying that, and they had all their little drama. And so even back then, I was caught up in the drama that could ensue between Barbie and Ken and all the other Barbies and Kens.
I love that. Yeah, I don't want to assume everybody on here at one point had a Barbie or loved their Barbie. I certainly had a few. My point in asking that question is I wanted it to evoke the feeling that you had versus thinking about it. Because as little girls and little boys, when we were that age getting gifts for special occasions, it was all about how you felt about it, not what you were thinking about. So with regards to heartstorming is the emotional part of your brain, not the logical part, right? And there's a connection between mind and body, and the heart itself has its own intelligence system and its own nervous system. We've just been trained and hardwired, maybe even as women over the last few years, to not continue to listen to those parts of us versus, instead we go up here, which going up in our head, it can be a dangerous place to be. It's ultimately protecting us, but we're certainly never going to heal from anything by being up in our head. It's being able to drop down and feel with your heart. As Brene Brown says, we are emotional beings who have thoughts. That's it. But we've been trained to be, as a human being, it's do, right? Instead of, and we can't just always be, which would be lovely, but it's having that dance, do, be, do. So something to remember. So the differences, I want to share some differences between being in our head and versus being in our heart. As we know, it can be beneficial when you are in a brainstorming session when it comes to planning, right? Working on a project, using your logic, things are linear, being analytical, making sense of things and facts. Whereas when we drop into our heart, it's going to show, you're going to feel love, your wisdom's in there, your appreciation, your intuition, being open, and being curious. So the current adult model that we use every day is when we have physical pain, we tend to it, right? Whether you fall and scratch yourself or break an arm, whatever physical pain we have, you hardly have a choice but to deal with it. Severe example for me was my stroke 6 years ago. When I was feeling things happening physically, time is of the essence, and I had to deal with things very, very quickly. You just don't have a choice. The current adult model, when it comes to emotional pain, we're trained by society, especially as professionals, to hide it, repress it, push it down, bury it, resist it, fight it, right? Don't show it. So my question to you is, how is that working for you? How is that working for us? And if you were to ask yourself that question right now, feel free to share it in the chat or come off mute, the potential obvious answer. What happens when we choose not to listen to the emotional piece of us?
I know for me, when I was in severe stress or in severe, go, 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 and it had to be pushed down so I could just get through, it came back later when that crisis was finished. It just exploded all over the place, because it couldn't be held under the water anymore, basically. And
That's
it
right.
popped to the surface, and I got panic attacks after the trauma was over. Not during. No, I couldn't do that because it just had to be done. But afterwards, my body would physically just not be able to function.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And it's true. If we don't deal with it right when it comes up for us, that stress, whether the emotional stress and pain and feeling and emotion, and we push it down, it's going to show back up. And I'm going to guarantee it's going to show back up louder in your face, to the point where you're going to have to face it, and you're going to be maybe more reactive versus being proactive and acknowledging yourself and giving yourself permission to actually feel for a minute. Because if you give yourself permission to feel the emotion, it takes 90 seconds for that emotion or sensation in your body to come up and out. 90 seconds. But if we push it on down harder and harder, like if I tell women, and I always see acknowledgement and shaking of the head, that when we physically push down tears, it hurts. It physically hurts our face to push them down. And I remember sitting with my coach 5 years ago, and I would cry during our sessions. And I would say, I don't want to be doing this right now. I do not want to continue to cry. I do not want to be doing this. I would say it every single time while it was hurting, because I was trying to keep them in. And she was the one for me that gave me that permission to say, that's just your body's way of releasing stress and stuck energy. It's all energy. Let it come up and out. And the more she gave me permission to do that, not only did it get easier to do it, and I wouldn't apologize for it, it wouldn't take as long either. If she just gave me that 60 seconds, catch my breath, right? Take a couple of deep breaths, it felt so much better. So the current model, when we fight stress and get into that fight, flight, or freeze mode versus allowing, so many things occur. And I believe that's where a lot of, unfortunately, chronic illnesses and things come from, is because things are manifesting in our bodies because we haven't allowed them to come up and out. We've pushed them down for days, months, potentially years, right? It could show up as fatigue, headaches, tightness, constricted breathing. In the mind, it could be worrying, right? Anxiety. Anxiety is big. And I don't want to assume all of us have experienced anxiety, but I know for me, and anxiety, I've learned, is overestimating something that's going to happen in the future that has not happened yet. We don't even know what's going to happen, but we've overestimated how big we think that it's going to be, and underestimating our ability to handle it. What a trap we can get ourselves into because we underestimate our ability to handle something. So the value of heartstorming is, I want you to think of a goal that you have in mind that would be fun, fascinating, a little scary, growth-minded, courageous, creative, what is a goal for you? What comes up for you? And I want whatever that goal is. Maybe it's, I want to take my family on vacation to Hawaii next year. That would be an awesome goal. Now feel that in your body, whatever that goal is for you or for your family. Feel it. Pay attention to what it feels like. And then potentially notice what your mind's telling you about that goal. We can't go to Hawaii. You don't have enough money to go to Hawaii. How are you going to fund your family to go to Hawaii? Just go to Florida like you always do, right? Drive down there. You can drive. You don't even have to get on a plane. Or maybe you can't do it next year. Maybe in a couple, 3 years. There's just so much else we have to do around the house, right? Other house projects. We can't spend our money on that. Please tell me I am not the only one that has these thoughts that their mind is telling them about the goal that they have. Welcome to your mind protecting you. That's all our minds ever do, is protect us. Not a bad thing. It's potentially just not the most efficient way to move forward. Heartstormed goals that have that emotional resonance are going to be easier to act on. So give yourselves permission to feel more with the goals that you have in place and not just think about them. And notice what happens when you think about them versus feel them. Is thinking really going to potentially get you to where you want to go? Or throw at you all the limiting beliefs and potentially hold you back from something that you're totally capable of having for yourself as a goal? So I want to share what's called the freeze frame method as something to try on for y'all. So when let's say you're thinking about a goal, maybe it's a financial goal, a professional goal, and it feels stress shows up in the body somewhere. Because I want to say financial because I feel like, we all have a relationship with money and it can feel stressful. So when you think about that, make an effort, pause the movie. This is a movie you're playing. Pause it and make an effort to shift from your head to your heart. Get out of your head. Drop in to your heart. Now recall a positive, fun feeling or experience that you've recently had. Maybe you went out to dinner with your family last weekend, or you spent some time outside with a friend, or you went to a patio and enjoyed, brunch, or you went for a walk by yourself. Go to a positive, fun feeling or experience and continue to replay that over and over right now, for like 30 seconds. And just ask yourself, have your heart answer versus the initial response to that stressful feeling. And it will allow yourself to hopefully calm down versus letting the anxiousness or the negative self-talk take over. The takeaway I want you to have throughout our time together, always trust your inner wisdom. I don't think we as women do that enough. So we let someone else tell us otherwise. And then we tend to say, yeah, okay, right, you're right, fine. When really deep down, your gut, your intuition is telling you something different. So be still. Give yourself permission to be still. Pause. Slow down. And trust yourself. So another method is called the heart lock-in method. And this is a great suggestion before you're going into a work meeting and maybe there's a big decision being made. And give yourself the goal is to get into a deeper relaxation state and of self-awareness, and being still with your heart space for 5 to 10 minutes. If you don't have 10 minutes, 2, 3, 4 minutes. And when you can sit alone, maybe it's in your car before you go into this meeting or in your office by yourself, think of something or someone you love. Who is that person for you? Can it be my dog? Sometimes it is. Can it be my husband? Absolutely. Or one of my family members. The more powerful moment in that, when you think of someone in your life, give that love back to you. Turn it right back to you. Versus what you would tell your pet or your spouse or your loved one, tell it to yourself. And feel it. Give yourself that love, that comfort, that appreciation for yourself. Because if you can't give that to yourself, you're not going to be able to genuinely allow that in from anyone else, too. It's up to us to give it to ourselves first, always. I would even invite you all, even if it's before your next big thing on your to-do list or your task list or a conversation you're about to have, just do it every day in the morning for 5 minutes. This is a form of meditation, is to practice self-love and to get you in a state to be able to move forward in a better place, in a better headspace, in a better heart space. And if you feel called, journal what comes up for you when you practice this as well. And when it comes to the book, The Heart Math Solution and the Heart Institute, there are so many examples in there of Fortune 500 companies that put these methods into practice, and they do it for like 6 months. So Motorola is one of them, where they did this for 6 months, and they were able to put percentages to their productivity rate of their people, like all in the 90s, 95%, 86% more engaged, 85% more supportive as a team. When you've got CEOs saying, we're going to practice the heart lock-in method, you're invited to do so, right? Every morning before our first meeting. How powerful is that? That's incredible. So some heart-centered tools, and you're going to be familiar with all of them, but these are considered heart-centered tools, are appreciation. So what are you appreciative for right now in this moment? And I invite you to share in the chat, what's something you appreciate in your life? Take a moment and acknowledge yourself for that. Another heart-centered tool, thank you, Angie, is non-judgment. Easier said than done, because we are really good at judging ourselves for something. And then I would ask yourself, when you can catch yourself in that thought of judgment, is it really true? Or is this just a story I've made up about myself? I love all the shares. How good does it feel to even acknowledge what you're appreciative of in this moment? I hope that it feels really good and that it's something that you never take for granted. Another heart-centered tool is forgiveness. When you forgive, the forgiveness is for you, right? It's not for the other person. You can't control if they're going to accept your forgiveness. All you can control is the forgiveness you have for yourself, and potentially the forgiveness, from what I know and what I've learned, is it's normally just a misunderstanding we had or a judgment we have about ourselves. And being able to come back to our truth. So I could judge an example of an easy judgment is telling myself, I need to be further along than I am in my business right now. I continuously practice compassionate self-forgiveness, right? I forgive myself for buying into the misunderstanding that I need to be further along than I am right now. The truth is, I'm meant to be right here in this moment and nowhere else. So if you catch yourself in saying, I'm not good enough, right? I'm not capable. I can't do that. Those are all judgments. Come back to your truth. Forgive yourself for judging yourself for that belief that you had, that misunderstanding that you had. Patience. Patience is another heart-centered tool. One that I don't know if I was born with a lot of, and have had to work really diligently on creating more of patience in my life, truthfully. And patience is just the calm acceptance that things can happen in a different order than maybe my mind told me that they were going to happen. Such a fantastic way of explaining what patience truly is. And I think an easy example of patience is when it comes to traffic, when it comes to driving. I shared this, I think, in when I spoke VIP week. If I chose to leave to get to my destination, let's say I had to be there at 9 o'clock and it's a half hour away, but I left at 8:50, who's that on? And there's traffic. I have to practice patience because it's no one else's fault that I've only given myself 10 minutes to be at a place when I knew it was a half hour away. Simple example, but I'm sure one we can all relate to when it comes to staying patient in traffic when we have zero control of any of it, truthfully. And the last heart-centered tool that I will mention is curiosity. Staying curious, staying open-minded, exploring all possibilities for yourself. So the shift from your head to your heart is a steady process. It's not overnight. Nothing is overnight. Your outside world will reflect your inner world. And that's where your magic is. Know that. And I would love to hear from any of you right now. That's pretty much it for me today. So I would love to hear from you, your take or your takeaways from feeling versus thinking.
So I'll go first because as you were talking, I'm a notorious thinker. And so I'm always in my head working out problems. And the heart is like this secondary thing, like, oh yeah, that's there, I forgot. I have some feelings here about this. And one here lately, I've been going through quite a bit because of all of the moving, selling our home and refinancing the building. And then we get into our new home tomorrow, but it's been, I realize that thinking, even though that's my natural go-to, it's also a coping mechanism for me, because when I get in the feels, it feels super uncomfortable for me. Like we've been in this crazy Airbnb that is the Airbnb from hell. And it's evoked a lot of emotion out of our family. And I feel like I've had to be the steady Eddie in the situation and use a lot of logic and thinking to get us distracted. And so in the process of that, I really resonated with you just saying, okay, well, then we take all of that and we squish it down and then it just comes out other ways. So I've sensed that about myself. My husband is going through that also. At his coworkers have mentioned to him that they can't wait till he gets into his house so he can just kind of relax. Apparently he's not relaxing at work. So totally relate to this, and just, it really resonated with the thinking and analysis of things. That's just what I do. And I just realized that, hey, that's a coping mechanism for me.
Good awareness.
I really love this lesson too. Thank you, Jennifer. Because I feel like as women, especially all our lives, that we're reminded to not just go with our heart, like to really think things through, like don't just make a decision based on, like even like getting married, people like, think it through, really get in your head and think it through, and
Right.
And so all my life, I feel like I've fought, leading with my heart. And so it's a good reminder. Good reminder.
Thank you.
You have to have a little balance, but it's really good, because that is where our goals and dreams were born. They're birthed there.
Yeah. And then, thank you for sharing that. And I feel like it was a great little practice to do today, to ask you what, a fun goal, and to notice what your heart feels about it, which is probably the more exciting piece to the goal. And then your mind's going to immediately tell you all the reasons why not to go forward with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Joy, I appreciate you sharing. Not feeling the feelings leads to physical illness, and it absolutely does. And so many, I would say both men and women are a little bit more vocal, at least expressing it only, but it's like, you got to feel to heal. You're not going to outthink your way to healing anything that you're going through right now. And it may feel hard, but it's not going to stay hard. And so many conversations I've had over the last really year, I would say, when I ask about emotional wellness, and I ask people to rate themselves 1 to 10 on what that is, women will rate themselves pretty low, but they're not ready to go there to even increase that number. And I'm not saying you're going to go from a 2 to a 10. What would it feel like to even go from a 2 to a 4 or a 5? And there's been multiple women that are like, nope, not ready to go there yet. I'm like, okay, well, without trying to be wise and watching my words, it's like, how is that working for you though, really? And if you continue to push that down, right, and mask it and fight it and resist it, it is going to, like Joy said, it will show up as a physical illness, and it is manifesting in your body right now. Your body it's kept track of every single thing you've been through in your entire life. And it will continue, it's going to continue to manifest until you're ready to meet it, face it, talk about it, process it, heal it, feel it, all of it.
And I think for our society, as women, we're told stop being overly sensitive.
Totally.
And, especially when you go into a health situation, you go to the doctor's office and like, oh, what's your pain level? And you might say, I don't know, 7 or 8. Are you sure it's really that high? I mean, are you just being, I remember, my mom broke her wrist and they didn't give her any opiate. They gave her Tylenol, Advil and Tylenol mixed together. But, a male goes in and they would have given him Vicodin right off the bat, that's just something that I've noticed in the healthcare world, is that women's pain is not taken as seriously as a man's pain. So
that's so true and fascinating. And like, to even think here for a second, like how, not to play the comparison game, but like what women go through on a daily, monthly basis. And I haven't even been through childbirth. I've had 2 kidney stones, which I hear is just as painful, if not worse. Yeah, like that took me to my knees. But that's more of an extreme, but just our monthly cycles we go through, and the discomfort and the pain of those. And, just went for my mammogram. That was a little unpleasant, right? Like I've been through worse, but it's not something I thought was super fun. but what do I'm like, not to, I had a discussion with my husband about it. He's like, oh, wasn't that bad? I'm like, oh, I'm not going to tell you what I said to compare it to, but he didn't even want to think about that. And I'm like, oh, well, then you didn't until you have that. So then you don't know, like, how, or the, you know, are all the yearly appointments we have to go to, let alone the extreme, you know, sicknesses and health scares that are out there. Women go, we all are warriors. We don't give ourselves enough credit for the pain and things that we do tolerate. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else have any takeaways or anything they want to share with regards to this presentation? Thank you. Thank you so much, Angie, for letting me share this tool today.
You are welcome. I do want to open it up. Ladies, what would you say? I want to come back to the goal, right? Because you're talking about a goal, and I'm a firm believer that without that vision, the women perish, right? Without that real understanding of what it is that you really want, you tend to run around in circles until you figure it out. And we tend to get caught up in, oh, I'm not clear on where I need to go, or I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be doing. I just know that right now I feel kind of icky, and we get stuck in that. And I just want to challenge all of the ladies on here. What is your goal? If you think about your mindset and what you want to accomplish, what is your goal? What is it that you're going for? Anybody have a thought?
I mean, I know mine is to speak and share my message with the masses. Like, speaking engagements for me, it fills my cup up so much. Not only is it therapeutic for me, I just feel that there's so many bits and pieces of it that do resonate with others, not necessarily from a specific stroke standpoint, but just the hardships and challenges that it's like, I just see it every day. What people are carrying with them, the weight of their past and the hard. And it's like, it doesn't have to stay hard.
Right.
It just doesn't. And it's like, I'm a fan of the women's Duke basketball coach. If you said her name, I would know it. I'm friends with her on LinkedIn. She accepted my request last week. I was so excited.
Yay.
Yeah. So her message, it went viral last year, was do hard better. I'm like, yeah, it's choosing your hard. What's harder, right? Going to the gym when you don't want to go to the gym, or to stay back and lay in bed.
Yeah.
That's going to be easier in the moment. But it's like, and I've just learned that, like, easy choices equal hard life. Hard choices equal easy life. And I'm like, that lands. So I just want to share that message in hopes that it resonates for people to find some encouragement or motivation to take one small step a day, and that if you do that on a consistent basis by taking one small step a day, it will start to feel a little bit easier.
Yeah. So it looks like Pam Robbins is saying her goal is to get healthy, work from home, care for mom one day or two, care for grandson one day, live my values, do hard better. Amen.
Yes, it's good.
That's good. And for those of you who, Pam, she's gone through breast cancer, and she's been going through all of the treatments, and really just getting up every day and fighting that hard. So I just applaud you for that. And I know that because you're going through this, Pam, it wakes you up, right? It's a different scenario when you realize that, hey, this is really life is short and you've got something to offer. There are so many women out there that they're not even in that place. They're just running around in circles trying to prove themselves, just trying to get through the day. And there's nothing like what's happening to Pamela that really causes you to look at things from a certain perspective. Yeah.
You don't want a life situation like that to create that perspective in you sometimes, but it certainly does. And I'm 6 years out, and I'm so thankful that my strokes changed my whole life, and I don't know where I'd be without it. Truthfully, it'd probably been okay. I probably would have been on a decent corporate sales ride, but I wouldn't want to. This is much better.
Yeah.
It's taken work to say that.
Yeah, we're all a work in progress, aren't we? We're
That's
all
right.
progress, as we say at the VIP. And I look at all of you, and I know that you all have a mission. And I mean, when I asked you, I don't want to get away from this question of what really is your goal. What is it that's really driving you to get up out of bed every day? I know it's not just making a paycheck. I look at all of you, and there's something that you want to do. I look at you, Cecily, and we talk about how you're not just a hair color expert or a permanent cosmetics expert. You're a woman who wants to get other women into your chair so that you can minister them. You've got a chair-based ministry, right? Yeah. And, Rachel, you are so gifted when it comes to helping people with communication, and you are a script writer. You have all of these gifts, and your life is designed to touch other people in that way, and to reach people through theater and through communication and script writing, all of those things. I mean, every one of you has something that you're doing. I have a mission where I feel the need to help women get out of their personal prisons. I have a strong mission and desire to help women to grow their faith and be about their business, but about the Father's business, and using our natural worldly businesses as a tool to get there. So we all have something. And I think the question that Jennifer is asking here, is your heart in it? Do you even know what your heart wants, and why your heart is ticking right now? That's really a powerful thing to ponder. So Joy just put to serve others as they learn to live and move with freedom and joy. Technology issues. Yeah, Joy, you have a powerful testimony as well. Just overcome. You're someone who you hate to see people in pain because you've been in pain, and you've learned how to overcome that, right? We all have goals that we have. So maybe that's a challenge for us to think about. If you pondered that question and you really don't know how to answer it, probably need to put a pause on everything and say, well, okay, what am I doing here? What's going on? Why am I here? What am I doing? And how do I get back on track? All right. Anybody have any thoughts or feedback?
I think that ties really well to the work we've done recently in here with the values work that we did. I forget when that was, but I think that's why why so many women feel out of alignment.
Yeah,
is because they forget their why, and they're not aligned with their core values. So they're making decisions and choices based on something or someone else versus what's really true to them.
Yeah.
So I love supporting women getting clear on their why and really establishing their core values and starting to make decisions from that place versus what was maybe not working for them anymore before.
Right. Right, right. All right, ladies. Well, we're going to call her done. We're going to give you a few minutes back in your day. So thank you so much for showing up today. Jennifer, thank you for giving us such an insightful piece of meat to chew on for today. I appreciate you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you so much.
Right.
This is
Everybody,
great.
hope you have a fantastic rest of the day, and we'll see you soon. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.